Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/spookshow. Then go over to morbidlybeautiful.com as we are now part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcasting Network.
Hi, I'm Linnea, and you are listening to the All-American Spook Show. It is so scary. You might not be able to sleep all night long. It's a scream.
Attention all campers.
The All-American Spook Show welcomes you to enroll in Camp Spook Show this summer. We have activities for all ages, including archery, canoeing, swimming, and running for your lives.
Summer camp, where the days are short and the nights are fast. Memories dance of sweet romance and the very first taste of love.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the All-American Spook Show podcast. I'm Josh and I'm joined here with Donny.
Hey.
And the Professor Smoke.
What's up?
Once again, Will's on a 5-month-long sabbatical, so he's on assignment. He's not with us, but we'll move on, and hopefully we'll get his thoughts on the last couple of movies because he wasn't here for Hot Chili, and he wasn't here last week when we did Madman. So, and obviously he's not here this week, and we'll talk about what we're going to do next week at the end of the show. It's comical. We'll say that. It's not meant to be a comedy, right? This is. Even this, that's debatable whether this is a comedy or not. But yeah, I think the situation is comical, so we'll go over that. But yeah, so he's missed 3 in a row now, so he's going for some kind of record or something of ducking us as much as he humanly possibly can. But anyways, we're here to talk about Summer Camp from 1979. So this is our latest in the Cult Corner series. So obviously the only criteria in our Cult Corner is, well, I guess there's 2 criteria. Number one, kind of a cult classic kind of thing, right? Which this one's skirting the line. I'll admit, this one's skirting the line.
Yeah.
Definitely not classic, I guess.
Yeah, it's cult. Yeah, if it's going to be anything at this point, it's a cult movie for sure. If you're like us and you have to track this thing down. But also the main criteria is it can't be a horror movie. So that's kind of what we lay out for the Cult Corner series, and it gives us an excuse to do movies like that we really love, like The Warriors and Big Lebowski, and then all of a sudden this one landed in our lap. So here we go. Now I guess I'll take the lion's share of the blame here if I have to. We spun the wheel over on Deadline Horror News a few weeks back, and this is the one that I nominated. And of course, I'm on a little bit of a hot streak with the wheel spins. This is the one that won. So we did spin the wheel again, although not on the air, for what we're going to watch next week. So all I'll say is that I won again. So I think I'm like 3-0 on wheel spins here lately. So
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to match Donny's Crapsterpiece Theater streak.
Yeah, it's brutal. Smoke
broke that this month when, or I guess you could say last month when Camp Blood won the poll. So that busted up Donny's streak on old Crapsterpiece. But speaking of that, I'm sorry.
4, right? Or is it 5?
Yep.
Yeah, this is 5 coming up.
Yeah, this will be 5.
Yeah, this will be the 5th Crapsterpiece. And Smoke chose Camp Blood, and that's what won the poll. And speaking of that comes out this Friday, July 29th, over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/AASpookshow. That's the Patreon exclusive. The only way you'll hear us talk about Camp Blood and all the episodes of Crapsterpiece Theater from the past is over on patreon.com/AASpookshow. But before we get any further into this one, I'll go ahead and toss out some of the usual information. You can contact us at allamericanspookshow@gmail.com. We've got all the social networks. There's a Linktree link down in the show notes. You click there. It should take you where you want to go, including our YouTube page, where we do Deadline Horror News live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. East, so you don't want to miss that, where we go over the latest horror headlines and other cool stuff going on. And then we have a TeePublic page where you can go get, our logo on the shirt, on mask, mugs, all types of merchandise options there, and other cool designs that we have. That's on our TeePublic. Once again, down in the links. Of course, like I just mentioned, patreon.com/AASpookshow, where you get, every month you'll get a bonus bonus podcasts such as like Crapsterpiece Theaters, of course, like we just mentioned. We do our retro rewinds, or what's it called? No, Spookshow rewinds.
Spookshow rewind.
Yeah. I'm getting them all confused because it's Professor's retro review articles, and then the Spookshow rewinds. But all this and tons more, early access to podcasts, polls, everything, all kinds of cool stuff going on over there. So we encourage you to become a patron at patreon.com/AASpookshow. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and toss to the trailer for Summer Camp.
Welcome to the wildest, hottest vacation ever. Summer Camp. These are not just campers, they're animals. And this is not just a camp, it's a zoo. Because whatever turns you on turns into a party. Come on, join the action and enjoy the laughs. Send yourself to Summer Camp. It'll flip your toga. Rated R.
All right, so there you go. That's the trailer for Summer Camp, and as we've said before, I think we just said this when we watched Hot Chili. Like, you just heard the best parts, probably, of Summer Camp. So, good Lord, where to begin with this? I guess we'll just go ahead and get into the background. What little bit? Like, there's really not a lot here that I could find, to be honest with you. But this is the type of movie that would be referred to as a teen exploitation, because it's really like an exploitation movie, and there's a lot of subgenres in exploitation, and this is a teen exploitation, even though even that's loose because it's basically full-grown adults acting like teenagers in this movie, right? Like, that's the whole premise.
Yeah.
I know in a lot of movies it's like, okay, they're supposed to be teenagers, but they look like adults. No, this one's like, it throws all that shit out the window and says, no, we're just getting grown-ass people to come to summer camp one more time and act like assholes. That should be the plot summary right there. Come back to camp and act like an asshole. Summer camp. Yeah. But it was released June 1st, 1979, so we just got past the one of the anniversaries of it last month, by Borson Productions, and it was distributed by Seymour Board and Associates. That's some generic ass stuff, if I've never heard it right.
One thing I did kind of want to point out here, you mentioned it was actually released 4 weeks before Meatballs, which we covered in episode 112 in our Cult Corner.
Yeah.
So that was the previous Cult Corner episode, and this is, the newest Cult Corner.
This is the Antichrist to Meatballs,
Basically.
If you think by premise of the movie, and you look at that poster, to me, it sold a bill of goods. I'd never seen this movie, and I didn't bother. That's my bad. I should have. I didn't bother to even look at the trailer. I'm just like, this 1979, it's a summer camp movie. The poster looks fun, around the same time as Meatballs. Let's do it. And then I nominated it, and of course it fucking wins, and here we are. But you point that out, but that's a good point, because you would think like, well, they made this because of Meatballs. No. No, this came before, right? Isn't that what you just said? A month before?
Yeah, released about a month before Meatballs.
Yeah, and I'm sure the filming of and everything was, slightly before or around the same time period. So yeah, it was not influenced by Meatballs at all. It just so happens to be something of a similar plot that came out at the same time, kind of thing, or at least similar in the premise of the summer camp.
What year was Animal House? 78?
I'm pretty sure that was before this, but like just before it. Animal House really is what's to blame for this shit. Yeah, that was 1978.
Yeah, I mean, the summer camp thing is, that's different or whatever, and that's kind of a weird correlation with Meatballs, even though it came out before Meatballs. But yeah, the whole poster art and that teen comedy type thing, and there's even a character in here, and I can't think of his name right now. But
Arnie.
That reminds me of the Belushi character.
Yeah, that's Arnie, right? The chunky dude.
Arnie,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a hair on Belushi.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm completely wrong there. I don't even know who the fuck Arnie is. I think that was from another. No, that was Hot Chili. Jesus Christ. I'm getting all my shit mixed up.
I don't remember Arnie.
Who the fuck is Arnie? No, it's Hot Chili. No, you're talking about Horse. His name was Horace, and they called him Horace, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He kind of reminded me of the Belushi. He's like the Belushi type character in this movie as far as his look, or his, the way he was kind of acting somewhat.
Yeah, and we'll get into it here shortly when we start talking about the movie itself more. I don't think he did a horrible job as far as that's concerned. Like, he was the least of the of the egregious errors of this movie, in my opinion. But yeah, it was a Belushi rip. So yeah, like really, if it's fair to compare to Meatballs, but it's more fair to compare it to Animal House, because you really have Animal House to blame for both movies. And although it's not, like you said, it's not a summer camp, but it's the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, if you do look at the movie poster, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks.
It looks fun. It looks like Animal House. It looks like Meatballs. You know, the same kind of shit. You know, here, let's have a good time. Summer camp, teen comedy.
This ain't it. Billy Goods, like you said. Oh man, that's funny.
I got sold a bill of goods here. We all did. It's rated R, of course. Total runtime of 1 hour and 25 minutes. It was directed by Chuck Vincent, who's really known for, Roommates, Puss in Boots, not the Shrek sequel, Puss in Boots, but the one from 1982. In Love, Jack and Jill. I didn't really read, deep into his filmography and his repertoire, but it sounds like it almost seems to me like there might be some porn in this guy's past. Just saying.
I'm looking at this. His directorial filmography.
Yeah.
You know,
without knowing what these movies are about, I'm just going to read a few. While the Cat's Away, Blue Summer, Heavy Load, Bang Bang, you got it. Dirty Lily, Bad Penny, Misbehavin', and so on. And then we get up to summer camp. But yeah, I don't know, but it seems like some fucking, porn here.
Hollywood hot tubs.
By the way, a year later, Hot T-Shirts, that movie sucks ass too, and it's a Canon movie. So that one is probably coming to our future over on Cannon Fodder. I know that movie all too fucking well. I can tell you that right now. And it ain't going to be me nominating it this time.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Chuck Vincent. That's who we have to blame for this one. Unfortunately, he passed in September of 1991 at the age of 51. So, relatively young. He was only 51 at the time of his passing. Once again, I don't know his story, but yeah, that's unfortunate. It was written by Mark Borde, or Bordy, however you say his last name, Borde, and Avrumi Schnitzer. Don't really know much about either one of them. Although, remember when I was reading the distribution, it was distributed by Seymour Borde. It's spelled the same way, Borde. So that leads me to believe that this guy might have had something to do with the distribution. Because what are the odds of that, right? One of the guys that wrote the movie, the same name as in the distribution, who knows? But he's best known for being a producer, really, like later in life, especially. He produced 47 Meters Down, Replicas, Friend Request, Hostels. These are all like movies, of the last, since like 2016. Yeah. The dude's really gotten like busy as far as producing shit just in the last, 5 or 6 years. Because, really, he started with Summer Camp and did a handful of things, but nothing crazy up until 2016. And all of a sudden, like, his name is attached to some, pretty well reviewed and, halfway decent stuff. So go figure. And then, like I said, Avrumi Schnitzer, the story and the screenplay. He's known for this, of course. And then he was a producer on Murder by Numbers, Howling 2, one of Smoke's favorite, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
There's a werewolf. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Candyland.
Not quite as good as the Marsupials, Halloween 3, but it's all right.
Of course. But he also was on the crew of Candyland with a K, Candyland from 1988. I pretty much just ran through that dude's entire filmography right there. It looks like he's still alive, but just hasn't done anything since that time period. And let's see the cast. We've got Michael Abrams as Dr. Fox, John F. Goff as Herman, but in this movie is listed as Jake Barnes. There's a few people in this cast that have different names, so it leads me to believe it may have been a case, possibly like when we were talking about Madman last week, where maybe it was non-union or something, or maybe these people just don't want to be associated with it, so they changed their name. Because you've also got horror icon, horror scream queen, Linnea Quigley in this movie as Pam, but in this movie she is credited as Barbara Gold. So, yeah, unless you knew it, you wouldn't know it. Walter Olkowitz? Yeah, we'll go with that. Walter Olkowitz as Horse. But in this movie, he's billed as Ray Holland. He's another familiar face from a lot of movies. You would certainly recognize him. He stands out. He was also in that Twin Peaks movie, Fire Walk with Me. Ironically, the same year, he was in 1941 with Belushi and Aykroyd. The Client, that Susan Sarandon, Tommy Lee Jones flick. And he was also in the other, the newer Twin Peaks stuff, the Missing Pieces. I guess that's the new. Was that the newer series that just came out a few years ago when they brought that back?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I haven't seen it yet, but I'm pretty sure that was the subtitle of it, Missing Pieces. Right?
Yeah, and he was in a few episodes of the original Twin Peaks series too. So there's the connection there. A lot of TV shows, a lot of TV movies, stuff like that. A lot of, a known character actor, and he's still active up until, well, he just passed away. Well, his last thing was that Twin Peaks series from 2017. Yeah. Unfortunately, he passed away in April of 2021, so just a little over a year ago at the age of 72. So unfortunately, Horse is no longer with us. But
laughing at the man's death. Damn,
I'm not. He was a good man, old Walt. Yeah, I mean, like, was there anyone else anything else or anyone else you guys wanted to point out before we move into the heart of the matter here?
I mean, aside from was it John Laughlin?
Yeah.
He's been in, several things.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, he played the role of Matt, but in this movie he was credited as John C. McLaughlin. So he really went out on a limb there with the old fake name.
Yeah, this was his third movie.
Wow.
But the one that he did previous to that, he was a stormtrooper on the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he followed it up with this.
Yeah, and then a couple little small indie movies like Footloose, The Lawnmower Man, The Rock, a few things a little bit later on. Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, that's about all I got though, to be honest with you, as far as background shit, because there wasn't a lot to dig up here. Like, really small amount of information from what we usually have, even on a lesser movie. Like there's just not a lot out there. And
you know what? Some things are better left buried.
Yeah. Well, it was as of the recording of this, it's available to watch on Tubi and Hoopla. I started watching it on Tubi, and the copy was shit. Like, it looks like...
Oh, no doubt.
It's a movie, like we said, it came out in 1979. It looks like it came out in 1969. I mean, it looks like an old 60s indie film or something, like the quality of it. So I'm like, well, maybe this is it. Tubi's got a bad copy. Let me look at Hoopla. I went over there, and it's the same copy. So apparently that's the only copy that's floating around these days, is this shit film transfer that nobody bothered to, do anything to. Smoke, you got any history with this movie as far as like, had you seen it in the past, or do you have it on VHS or anything like that?
No, this is the first time. I mean, I'm sure I've heard the title Summer Camp. It's a very generic title. So I'm sure I've heard it, but whether I could have put it with this movie or not, no, I definitely haven't ever seen it. Although I do remember some of Linnea Quigley's filmography mentioned in some of it. Like, this is one of her early films, I'm sure. Yeah. There's probably not too many films before this one that she was in. And, like, well, because of whatever reason, the union thing or whatever, where she was credited as, what was it, Barbara Gold?
Yeah, Barbara Gold, yeah, completely, not even remotely the same.
Name of it based on her, her filmography, because I've gone back to see what the earliest stuff was, and one that we got to get to somewhere down the line that could be, one of those that could be in that gray area between cult and Crapsterpiece, but it's called Don't Go Near the Park.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely got to get to that at some point. That was another one of her early ones. So I'm sure I heard it in reference to that time period, because that was also, I believe, 1979, I want to say. So, but yeah, I've never seen the trailer for it. I've never seen any clips from it.
Yeah, this is an outlier even from her career, because I'm just looking at her, like what she did before this. This looks like to be the only movie that she called herself Barbara Gold. So this had to be one of those union situation kind of thing. Yeah, because she had done... Here's her filmography before this, from 1975. Psycho from Texas. Then an uncredited role in Death Sport. Then Fairy Tales, Auditions, an uncredited role in Tourist Trap, Don't Go Near the Park, and then Summer Camp. Tourist Trap, Don't Go Near the Park, Summer Camp, and also Stone Cold Dead all came out in 1979. So she did 4 films. 2 of those uncredited in 1979. So, yeah, she hadn't done much. Like you said, this was very early on in her filmography.
She was the only one that I recognized from the cast without looking up anybody else. So, you know what I mean?
I recognized Horse, Walter Olkowitz. I had recognized him from stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to say what his name was.
No, you're right. Yeah, same here. Like, I didn't know the guy well enough to, know, oh, it's Walter Olkowitz, but yeah, I've seen the face in tons of TV and movies.
Yeah, his is a face you can't forget.
No doubt, yeah. And like I said, I think he's one of the few standouts in this movie, to be honest with you.
No doubt.
probably is the standout because I can't think of anyone else that's like, oh yeah, bravo, you know. He does the best job in this one for sure. Even Linnea Quigley's part, like, it's not horrible. It's just it's kind of dry, you know.
Just forgettable.
Yeah.
The only moment she had in the movie that really not stand out necessarily, but to be more than just a background character was the sex scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's towards the end, right? That's like the last 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this movie.
Yeah, she was saying something to him, like, but she had him tied up right in the bed frame, and I'm going to walk on you with my heels, and I'm going to, you know, and he's like, oh, okay. How's that feel?
Yeah, her role was just to be a bitch, right? Like, pretty much. That was just her thing. And then she got in, like, a 1920s fancy car and then drove away. So I don't know what the fuck she was.
That also, it was 1979, and it starts off with, of course, we get some funky, groovy disco going on there, the theme song or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Except for that one fucking disco song that they play in the disco. And we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That scene, well, we'll get to it, but that scene went on forever.
Good Lord. I mean, the whole movie's an hour 25, and it felt like an hour of it was that fucking disco scene.
What is it? Hey, why it's Buttercup. Popcorn, add some butter to hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born. It's delicious.
So nutritious.
It's a taste delight. It's so munchy.
Crisp and crunchy.
You'll enjoy each bite. Eat butter-drenched Buttercup. Popcorn at its best. Served in a king-size cup. It beats all the rest.
For you, the listeners of the All-American Spook Show podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. So, I know this is generic as hell, but so is this movie. I just went and typed in Summer Camp over on Audible just to see what will pop up, and we've got The Summer Camp Mystery by Gertrude Chandler Warner. It's part of the Boxcar Children Mysteries series. It's book 82. Good God. There's 81 previous. Jesus Christ. But this one's only about an hour and a half, so clearly it's like a kid's book. But Jesus, there's at least 82 of these fucking books.
Like the Stephen King of the Boxcar Kids.
Yeah. I'll Never Tell by Catherine McKenzie. That one's about 8.5 hours long. That one looks more like a thriller type of novel. And, well, wouldn't you know it? Another Boxcar Children book. The Camp Out Mystery. The Boxcar Children Mysteries, book 27. So they revisited the camp later by Gertrude Chandler Warner once again. And that one's almost 2 hours long. So, yeah, if you want to go to the Boxcar Children series, there's apparently 82 of those fucking things floating around over on Audible and a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, there's tons of results when I just type in summer camp. It's literally like beyond 4 or 5 pages of results when you type that in over on Audible. So if any of that sounds interesting, or if you want to dig around for something else and download your free audiobook, go over to audibletrial.com/spookshow. Again, that's audibletrial.com/spookshow for your free audiobook.
Maybe they have the Boxcar Children versus Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
Didn't see that.
I didn't see that one on there. That sounds better than any of the other ones, though. All right, so I'm going to hop on over to IMDb and read a couple of plot summaries that they have here. This one is posted on IMDb by Mike Olenek. This one reads, the director of a failing summer camp decides to invite campers from 10 years ago for a free weekend event, hoping that he can trick them into fixing up the place and also get their families to provide them some financial support. The boys and girls return to the camp and play pranks on each other and try to score with the other campers and the staff. That really does sum it up pretty well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so we'll see you guys
next week. Now, you're going to be in for a treat. No, well, actually, I thought there was another one, but no, it's just a blank synopsis thing. So, yeah, that's the only plot summary on IMDb, but that's really about all you need. So, this is a really fucking loose premise to bring people back to the summer camp, though, right? Like, just come back and have fun. And, it's a reunion weekend or something just to get money and help to build the summer camp back up. But this is like they send out these invites, and then at the beginning of the movie, everybody reads the invites and then instantly start fucking packing. It shows them like reading the paper, like, all right, reunion. And then they just start throwing shit in a suitcase. I think Horace is just emptying like cans of Coors into a suitcase. All kinds of random shit. Like, they all just flock back as fast as they possibly can. I wonder if this situation has ever actually presented itself in real life. Like, oh, I want to go back to the old summer camp and act exactly like we did, when we were fucking 10.
Panty raids and all of it.
Yeah. Now, it's funny you mentioned that. I made a note when they did the panty raid thing. 80s movies and everything that I saw growing up always had some kind of fucking panty raid in it. So I kind of grew up thinking panty raids would be a thing. Like, oh, I can't wait to grow up and have a panty raid, But
I didn't realize it was just basically a movie trope, right?
Yeah, like, has it ever really happened in real life? I guess that's the question. Like, or is this just movie horseshit,
I don't know. Maybe before my time, I would have been. Maybe back in the 70s. Just
yeah, well, you're not getting away with it these days. But even like when we were, growing up in the 80s and 90s, like, this wasn't a thing. You weren't allowed anywhere near a situation where you could have a panty raid, especially not like this. And let's face it, that's what most of this movie is, right? Not just beyond a panty raid. It's just dudes looking at chicks through the windows.
Yep. What's his name? That was the blonde guy? I can't remember his name, but he had the
none of their names I don't remember any of their names other than Horse. All the rest of them.
And he was like an entrepreneur, right? He had the ladder up on the roof of the girls' bathroom so he could sit down in the shower. He was charging people to come up the ladder to see the girls.
And like the description said, it turns the whole thing turns into a prank war. It's girls versus guys and everything. It's beyond juvenile, like, because and I only keep pointing that out because it's not teenagers. Like, it's grown ass adults, like people in their 20s and 30s, acting like teenagers. This entire movie. But really, the whole premise to get them there and everything, if that's what they wanted, they just wanted them to come in, so like, hey, give us money or whatever. Why even bother keeping this fucking camp open? Like, if you have to go through this much shit to keep the camp open, why even care enough to keep the fucking camp open?
I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. Like, what is the point of it? Well, because it doesn't seem like he gives a shit about these kids.
I guess clearly he's like, he says right out the gates, right? Like, as he's selling his staff on the idea, like, we're here to make money.
Yeah.
All right, well, operate a better camp. Like, what the fuck? Like, his whole premise is just, let's just bring back all the influential campers from the past. And then, meanwhile, it's just a bunch of assholes that show up. None of them seem to have any kind of money or anything, right? Like, and they just dropped, I really think, for the most part, they dropped the whole premise. Except they throw in that one little random dude that's supposed to be a geologist. That's just randomly walking around looking for oil or gold or whatever the fuck.
He's there just for the ending.
Yeah, he's there just for the very end. For what's the guy's name? The camp counselor guy, or whatever. Who cares? Max, whatever the fuck his name is. I'm probably mixing up another hot chili or some shit. Wasn't it Senor Deterred? I think he was the.
Oh god, what was his name?
It doesn't matter, but like that guy, yeah, like basically the whole geologist thing was to set up that dude to, we're rich. The camp will stay open. Like, motherfucker, all right, you only have the camp to make money. You just struck oil, so now you are rich, and then you want to party because the camp can stay open. This makes no sense whatsoever. Wouldn't you just take your fucking money and just run? Haha, fuck all of yous. I'm rich, Instead, he's like, oh boy, we can keep the camp open. Freeze frame. Credits,
Wait, why?
Why would you care? You clearly didn't care at any point up to this point. I did think
when they first introduced that geologist character, I thought he was going to be, before he said he was a geologist, he was just fucking around on the ground and doing stuff. I thought he was going to be the Bill Murray Caddyshack character.
Yeah, no.
I'll go for that character, but no.
No, they weren't that clever for sure. Like, the dude, I think he pops up maybe one other time. Like, they introduce him, and then maybe one time you see the guy walking around the background or something like that, and then he comes back at the end. Oh, by the way, I found some oil, I did think that was, the delivery on that was kind of funny, though, when the geologist tells him, like, that he's found, but before he even says it, he's like, I got some good news for you. He's like, well, let me guess. You found some oil, now I'm rich. And then, well, yes, I have. And then, okay, all right. Well, I'm rich, and then then he starts jumping around. That was pretty funny, but I just described the funniest scene of the entire movie. Oh, wait a minute, no, I'm sorry. The funniest scene was when All right, so what's the deal? I can't think of her name, but the one chick that just is whoring everybody.
Oh, the camp nympho.
Oh yeah.
She's just going around just being just straight up whore to everybody. That like she doesn't give a fuck. There's no point to it. You know, like you're thinking maybe she's just trying to be a gold digger or something. No, she's just equal opportunity. Like fuck it, I'll just fuck anybody. So she goes up to the guy that works for the camp that I guess is like the camp maintenance guy or something. The guy with the cowboy hat. And she's talking dirty to him, or whatever. And he says basically, if you don't stop that, I'm going to come all over my pants here. That was the line of the movie.
Oh man, that and does Dolly Parton sleep on her back?
Oh yeah. Oh, and well, I don't even know what this character was in the movie, but I sent y'all the little video snippet. It was from the credits of the movie. When the disco song is playing and that woman is, I guess she's supposed to be one of the cooks. I don't know. But she's chopping chicken or steak or whatever it is. With the meat cleaver. She's Geronimo!
Yeah.
That cracked me up at the beginning just for no fucking reason. And then that was just it for that character, I guess.
What's funny, too, is like they introduce, all the counselors, the people that work at the camp. They all have some type of personality that seems like they wanted to go somewhere with it, but just didn't. Like, there's the first guy that kind of acts like a goof that screws the girl in the freezer or whatever. Then he just kind of disappears. Then there's, like you said, there's the cook lady that, seems like a fairly decent comedic character that just fucking disappears. Like, it's like they introduce a bunch of stuff and then, fuck it. Let's just go in a different direction. Oh, sex. What about this?
It seems like there was a couple of funny lines and I don't even remember what they are now. I mean, they weren't funny enough. Here's the other thing with this movie. When you see something that's semi-funny in this movie or in a movie like Hot Chili, it's kind of like that thing when you're super hungry, you haven't eaten in a week or something, and somebody gives you the shittiest food you could possibly think of. You're like, damn, this is good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have something.
You're right. You're right about that. Just like I pointed out. You're right about that. Just like I pointed out the scene at the very end with the guy, like, oh, let me guess, I'm rich, blah blah blah. I'm rich. Like that's not that funny, but in this movie, that's fucking hilarious. You
haven't had hardly anything for the rest of it. And that's
Yeah. You're the person that's about to, thirst to death out in the desert at that point.
It seems like there was a little bit of banter with the lady, the woman. I don't know if that was the same woman with the meat cleaver at the beginning, but I guess she was the cook, right? And the other guy that was like, banter between them. Most of it wasn't funny, but there was it wasn't funny enough because I can't remember what the fuck the lines were, but it was more towards the end of the movie. Yeah,
there was some back and forth between them that seems like there was some kind of little subplot. They wanted to go there with that and then just said, fuck it somewhere. Yeah. Like, maybe they were having some, affair or something on the side and there'd be some kind of joke there, but they just didn't go anywhere with it kind of stuff, A lot of that. A lot of like, let's set some shit up that we're never going to pay off kind of thing. The dudes, that one scene where they're all sitting around the campfire and, people are, hitting on each other, making out in the woods and there's a guy singing some goofy ass song at the campfire, right? He's the blonde-haired guy. It's a serious song, whatever the fuck, but like he has full musical accompaniment. Like it's just a dude with a guitar, but meanwhile you can hear drums, a bass, some synthesizers probably somewhere. He's got a whole band hidden in the woods somewhere. Oh, I remember one that was another thing that I made mention of that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
The turd measuring contest. Like, what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, we're going to measure. And, like, the girls didn't really say anything about it.
At first, you're thinking the joke is they're going to have a dick measuring contest. But no, this dude is proposing a shit measuring contest. Who can shit out the longest turd? And then it was the guy that won it was just the dude that brought a bunch of salami and shit. And all these people brought all this random shit to the camp. He just brought like salamis and
it was like bread.
Yeah, and bread. Like so what the fuck was his story? Like, was there something? Was there somewhere they wanted to go with him and they just didn't? Like, what the fuck was his deal?
I don't know.
There need to be more explanation. Like maybe the story is this guy's a chef or something like that. But no, they didn't give a fuck.
No explanation.
He just brought salami.
There's a correlation with hot chili, the salami thing.
Well, that salami boy.
Salami boy showed up in fucking summer camp party.
Yeah, there's a lot more correlation between hot chili and summer camp than we thought we would find here, but we're finding it all.
Sometimes when it's a movie nobody has seen, none of us have seen this movie. Sometimes, like in retrospect, this movie could have been Crapsterpiece easily, but we don't. None of us have seen it going into it, so that's going to happen from time to time.
This is one you just trip and fall on. You just trip and fall in the dog shit on the floor you didn't realize was there until you step in it and you're like, oh fuck, I just stepped in dog shit. Summer camp.
Like you're saying, it's basically you're judging the movie by its poster.
Yeah,
which is easy to do.
That's where it can get you. That's where it can get you. We've talked about that a number of times, back in the 80s and 90s, where you go to Blockbuster and you say, oh, that's a cool cover, and you watch and it was shit. This is it right here, folks. This is it.
This is the one.
Godfrey Ho, ninja movies I got suckered into that way before I realized who Godfrey Ho was and looked for that name on the box. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different, little thing you got in your head there or something, that's a whole other problem, When you start seeking them out, that's when you know you're sick.
This is before the seeking out. This was like, oh, look at this cool ass ninja movie with this airbrushed artwork. I'm gonna read this.
True, yeah.
It's gotta be ninja,
Yeah.
And then another one of those motherfucking
movies,
put two movies together and slap some ninjas in it.
Yeah.
And then later down the road, you crave those movies.
Yeah. Well, at some point, especially I think all of us are kind of similar that way. At some point, you start seeking that kind of stuff out. Although this ain't it. You know what I mean? God, Lord. This is you might seek it out, oh, that could be fun. And then when you watch it, oh, fuck, this is not fun. It's more fun for us to sit here and talk about it, for sure, than to just watch this shit.
Yeah, I've had a better time doing this.
Speaking of good times, the row your boat sex scene.
Dude, that, what was that about?
They're just screwing and then row your boat. As she's riding the guy.
It was the camp whore.
Yeah, it was. I was thinking it might have been Linnea Quigley's part, but you're right. It was the camp hoe. They kept popping up and fucking everybody.
Oh yeah, and this is another thing. This is always the case with these movies because it's not actual sex. I mean, but the guy's got his full pants on and everything. I mean, he's basically dry humping.
Oh yeah.
They didn't even make an attempt to make it like he was actually having. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be like they're having sex. But,
I noticed it at least twice. Where, there's a sex scene and you look down and the girl is naked. She's clearly, she might have some cod piece or some shit on, right? Something to cover her bits up. But from the side, it looks like the woman is full nude. But meanwhile, the guy's wearing boxer shorts.
Yeah, or the one where the guy had the jeans on, the premature dude. Premature dude.
Yeah.
He had his full jeans all the way zipped and buttoned up and everything. He's just basically dry humping.
Yeah.
And, they didn't even try to attempt to make it like they were simulating.
We mentioned it earlier that disco song. The song was "Gimme, Gimme Your Love." That was "Gimme, Gimme, Gimme Your Love." And dude, they must have had a 40-minute cut of that fucking song.
Oh, was it the same song? It's not the same song from the beginning, right? They were two different songs at least.
I think so, yeah. But all right, we're gonna have a disco, and they have a disco where the theme is Nights of Arabia or something, like Arabian Nights. So they all kind of just dress in togas. It's all just shit made out of sheets, right? It's basically a toga party, but they call it Arabian Nights. And
that's not even the right thing.
Yeah, and it's a disco where the song is playing, but it's the same song over and over. They even cut away from it because you see people fucking out in the woods. Different scenarios of people having sex out in the woods, and it comes back and that same damn song is playing, just on a nonstop loop.
Dance remix of "Gimme, Gimme."
Yeah, gimme, gimme, gimme your love. Shit. Right after that, or maybe it was during that, I can't remember the timing of it, but they go outside and there's an inflatable bouncy house. I didn't even think that was a thing back then. Fucking inflatable bounce houses. 1979. I don't remember seeing that kind of shit until I was way older, in my teens or 20s. I saw things like that. Maybe I just wasn't running in the right circles.
I think it's pretty damn big too. I think it's huge.
Oh yeah, they run in there and there's an echo. It's so fucking big because you can hear them yelling and screaming in there, whatever the fuck they were doing. There's an echo. It's so big. But yeah, I just didn't realize they were a thing in 1979. Who knew? I guess more people with more money than me. I guess.
Was it? I mean, Ridge of the Nerds wasn't that old. It was 83, 82.
Yeah, well, that was definitely after this, but that was more like a carnival ride kind of thing. But I guess it kind of fit, right? It was like a House of Mystery kind of thing or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was in a it was in a fair or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Booth thing. and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, he comes in. Isn't that when he comes in dressed like Darth Vader? And
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we'd rather talk about much funnier movies than summer camp. We're avoiding this like we did during Hot Chili and talking about other movies during that.
Yeah, it was like a.
All right, then right towards the end, so all of a sudden there's like a couple or whatever walking down the beach. I was like, wait a minute, where the fuck did a beach come from? Like this whole movie, the geography is a summer camp, like out in the woods, and all of a sudden they're walking down a beach. Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you think of the end? I mean, the whole gag. They found the oil. The camp is saved. I mean, really, is there anything else? Left? There's not really much else to talk about here, but the ending. I guess like I said earlier, I think the little setup there where he's like, "Let me guess, I'm rich." Wait a minute, I'm rich, and that was kind of funny, but that was about it, right? Like, like you said, they put the geologist guy in there just for that. That's it. Just so they could find a way to get out of this thing, because, the whole movie he's spending trying to talk everybody into giving him money to keep the camp going. And then, of course, nobody's biting. So I guess that's the joke at the end. We got to get, the only way this is going to continue is if, some miracle happens. So, but you saw that in the first 10 minutes, first 10 or 15 minutes when the geologist showed up, you knew how this was going to end.
Yeah. You're just like, well, okay, there we go.
They didn't put the uncut, a little bit darker ending where they don't get the money. The guy shoots himself and then that's it.
That would have been a twist. I'm not saying I want to see that, but that would have been something. Oh, shit. Well, speaking of shit, it's about that time. It's about time to go ahead and give out our ratings for this. So, Donnie, I'll let you start first. Well, you know what? I brought it to the table. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah, you start.
I'll start. When comparing this to other Cult Corner movies, I have to say that there's a very high bar, and this one doesn't even come close to it. This movie sucks. You know what? It doesn't, I will say, I don't think it sucks quite as much as Hot Chili. That's just my opinion. That movie was terrible. Just god-awful. This one ain't much better, but I think it's a little better. There are a few jokes that landed for me a little bit better than any of the jokes in Hot Chili. And at least there is a little bit of a plot, although it was mailed in and you saw it coming a mile away. At least they tried to take some time to make a cohesive fucking story out of it, as opposed to Hot Chili did not. They didn't even attempt it. That was just an excuse to see people having sex, so yes, this is kind of the same, but at least there was a story. So I say better, but not much better. I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it a 1.25 stars. It's not good, and I will never want to watch this on purpose again, unless it has something to do with the show. I always have to add that caveat. If there's some reason we have to watch it, I'll watch it. But otherwise, I'm never watching this movie again. So, Donnie, what do you think?
I'm going to steer the fuck clear away from... Yeah, I will never see this movie again. I barely wanted to watch it the first time. I was like, fuck, man, I put this one off too. But, yeah, it's just... But, is it the worst? Like, we know there are worse movies out there. We've seen Crawlers. We've seen... we've seen pretty much... And just because it's a current movie doesn't mean it's, catches any breaks as far as, Crawlers. But we're not even... Like, we avoid this movie because how many other movies have we discussed in this fucking episode? We typically don't do that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
we start going in on other movies just to...
we're just like, fuck this. I'm gonna give this... God, this movie sucked. I'm gonna give it a full star. And yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Professor?
Here's my semi-dilemma, I guess you could say. I'm in the same boat as y'all are with this. It's probably never going to see it again. But Donnie brought up a good point. If you said you got to sit in this room and your choice is Summer Camp or Crawlers, well, guess what? I guess I'm watching Summer Camp again.
Oh. But, man, you might have to just hand me the pistol and just end it.
Hopefully I never have to make that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the dark thing of Summer Camp that they didn't do, right?
Or maybe a better question is this or Hot Chili?
I'm probably going to go with, like you said, I'd probably have to go with this one. But that's kind of my dilemma, too, because I gave Hot Chili a 1.25 stars, I believe.
Or a cannonball and a quarter.
Yeah, that was a cannonball and a quarter, yeah.
So, but you know what? That's the cannon sliding canon scale.
True.
So
Yeah. That adds actually gets extra points over there. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's so. Even though I gave that movie a star and a quarter, I would give this movie a star and a quarter as well. But I still like this movie better than a little bit better than Hot Chili, like you were saying. If I had to watch the two, I would watch Summer Camp again over Hot Chili, just because the reasons you mentioned. There's no plot at all really to Hot Chili, and it's just a string of just not even softcore. I mean, it's not even softcore.
At least they tried. Now, granted, we learned on Hot Chili they did try, but that was like the director and Menachem Golan just saying "fuck you" and "fuck you." I want what I want. Yeah. I want what I want, and then the two met in the middle and shit out Hot Chili. So this one's for different reasons,
So while I do like this a little bit better, it's got the same rating, but that's really because of that sliding canon scale. I guess. Still, who knows? Maybe by the end of the year when we do the reevaluation, maybe something will change with that.
Man, we'd have to pick up a Senior Deterred between now and then to find something that's much worse than these two, man. We would really have to be swinging low here to find much else that's as bad as this. Didn't we? Donnie, didn't we choose a nominee for the Spookshow Awards? Well, that was Crapsterpiece. That was the what do we call it? The Golden Bomber.
The Golden Bomber.
Yeah. That's for Crapsterpiece. So I think we need to add another category for the worst movie, not Crapsterpiece. Not
of the year. Okay.
Worst movie of the year, not Crapsterpiece.
Well, we do.
And then let the battle begin.
Well, no, like last year, we do have the worst.
Okay, I didn't have all the nominees, but no. If we don't, we need to add it. Either way.
Yeah.
There needs to be some battle of the worst.
Yeah, we do have the worst reviewed movie.
So that'll be coming up in the month of October before our 4th anniversary show. So big things coming in October. So, but we haven't left Summer Camp completely in the dust just yet.
Donny, where's the Cult Connections? Come out and play.
Well, I mean, this goes on for 5 minutes, so you want to go ahead? I know it does. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, something's got to give here. No, Summer Camp. So, yeah, the cast connection, Linnea Quigley, she was in, well, it goes back to our The Return of the Living Dead episode, as well as Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yep.
So those are the only two episodes that she is tied to of ours. There were no crew connections.
No one mercifully wanted to be connected to this at all. So, and because it's Cult Corner, we don't have a kill count and a gore score and all that. But we will get Will's thoughts on this movie first chance we get as soon as he comes off his around the world in 80 days trip that he has going on there. But one last thing before we check out, and before we tell you what we got coming up next week, which is going to be pretty funny, the usual aggregates for this one. Over on IMDb, this movie gets 3.6 out of 10 stars. Even that, I know that's like the community voting for whatever, but even that's kind of generous, in my opinion. Yeah. 3.6 out of 10 stars. Rotten Tomatoes, of course, not surprising at all. The tomato meter is not applicable. There's not enough critic reviews to aggregate a score there, but there is an audience score, 38%. Now, I didn't look at how many people voted in this audience score versus how many voted for our last episode, Madman. But Madman, put this in perspective, had a 36% audience score on IMDb. On Rotten Tomatoes. This got 38. So.
Who are these brain dead morons?
Now, see, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, how many movies are titled Summer Camp? They probably reviewed
There's
their
a
own
lot.
movie.
There's a lot. Maybe that's as good an excuse as either that or just.
That's what I think.
Yeah. I have to guess there's probably more people that have voted on Madman than Summer Camp, and that's probably why you get a slightly higher number because it's less people, right? Either way, that there's even 38% of even two people that would say this movie is halfway decent. That.
You got those. There's some sad souls out there who this is their favorite movie that they gave it a 10.
There's somebody.
And the people came and said
they shitted up the curve for this one.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave this Summer Camp.
Actually, before we do, just kind of going back, you had talked about the Spook Show Awards.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find the doc for our previous Spook Show Awards.
Okay.
We do have a worst movie. It's not the worst reviewed movie, but it's essentially the worst movie that we watched. So I guess it's technically the same. But last year, there were actually two winners because the overall score was less than 1 star. Both of those movies were Into the Dark Crawlers and Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter.
Yeah,
all with
the unfortunate
collective score. Go ahead.
The unfortunate part is that, you know, the nominees that I can think of off the top of my head right now, these last couple that we've done, Hot Chili and now this, they're probably not going to grade as low as those did. You know, just overall.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. That's sad. Because I'd rather watch... I think I'd rather watch either one of them again before I'd watch this. You know, just off the... Maybe that's just recency rearing its head. You know, I just watched these pieces of shit. I'm thinking more fondly of those pieces of shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Those are... Like, just those two are so much worse. They're so much worse.
Either way, this is varying degrees of poop. And this is what we usually... The kind of thing we discuss on Crapsterpiece Theater. But nope.
Yeah.
These are some of our regular episodes here, so there we are. But yeah, so anyways, we're going to leave this summer camp. Camp Malibu, by the way. That's what the fuck?
What the fuck knows?
You know, wait a minute. Maybe that makes... Maybe that
explains the beach.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe that explains the beach more now.
I didn't think about
I
that.
don't know.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe we're not supposed to think about anything with this movie. Maybe there's that.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're leaving that camp. Camp Malibu's in the dust. It is where it is. We'll only bring it up at least couple more times, at least once, to let Will give his 2 cents, and then of course we'll have to discuss it yet again on the 4th anniversary. But outside of those 2 times, we'll put it in the dust. But we're going to go to another summer camp, and we're going to watch Summer Camp from 2015 coming up next week. Yeah, it's a completely different movie called Summer Camp. Just 30-something years later, whatever the fucking math is.
How did that actually come about, though?
Well, we didn't do this on Deadline Horror News, but we nominated some, because I'll say this. This is part of the rotation. You know, every other week we do a horror movie, and usually it's like, you know, Willie chooses one, I choose one, Donny, smoke, and then start over again. But to make sure we're not always picking a new one or an old one, we put a wild card in there. This is the wild card, and it had to be a newer movie, and of course it's a summer camp movie because it's Spook Show. So all these criteria together, we nominated 4 movies, and Summer Camp was nominated by me. So yeah, we'll see if this turns out any better than this summer camp.
It's got to be at least better than this summer camp we just watched.
Well, don't jinx it, but we'll find out. We'll find out. But this one is a horror movie called Summer Camp from 2015. And here's the IMDb synopsis. 4 American counselors at a European summer camp must deal with the outbreak of a rage-inducing plague that starts in the animals. So that sounds interesting. Like, you know, once again, this is judging the book by its cover again kind of thing. Like, I did not watch a trailer. I've never seen it. Not that the poster's all that great, but it's all right. It is what it is. But yeah, this is more like, you know what? Honestly, I nominated it because it's called Summer Camp, and I thought it would be hilarious to do Summer Camp back to back with Summer Camp. So next week, Summer Camp. We're doubling down because this one was so good. We're gonna double down. Yep. So
no, it was just luck of the draw. The wheel spun the wrong way.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's funny.
So there we are. So next week, and now I will say as of the time of the recording of this, and once again, these things can change week to week, month to month. But as of the recording of this, this version of Summer Camp 2015 is available to watch for free on Tubi, Plex, and Vudu. Which, ironically, the Summer Camp we just watched is on Tubi as well. So I'm sure there might be some confusion when you go over to Tubi to look for Summer Camp. You're going to see multiple titles come up. This is the one that came out in 2015. In some places I saw it's even listed as 2016. But it's a horror movie. So, you know, you'll be able to figure it out. But that's what we're going to be watching next week. So I guess that's it, guys. We moved from one summer camp to the next, so we'll see what happens next week. So for Will, who couldn't be with us, Donnie, Professor Smoke, I'm Josh. We are the All-American Spook Show podcast, and we will talk to you next week for summer camp.
It's now 9:30, and that's lights out time. 9:30, as you know. Tomorrow is Parents' Day, and you must look rested or Morty will be sent to the state penitentiary.